starting it early, guys, just so I can make sure that we're on. Well, thank you, dear.
Yep, no problem.
You stay safe.
I will. If there's nothing else for me, I'll probably get going.
Sounds good. Take care. Bye. God, my phone's down to nothing.
That's right. I better turn my ringer off
I just want to make sure that,
before I pull a J.
Yeah, I tell you, I made sure mine turned off. Matter of fact, I'm gonna turn it off again. I didn't have the news on today, but what's the status on those wildfires? It's like, I'm not seeing higher numbers, as percentage contained.
Yeah, I haven't heard much about it today either, so.
okay. Well, we're live, so don't say anything. Hi, Mary. This is Mary Colbert.
Oh, hi, Mary.
And her husband, Kyle. Kyle, Mary, Kyle. This is Jeff, Jay, Gary, and Dylan. Mary's running for trustee number 4.
Okay. Okay. I recognize your name.
Right. Hope that's a good thing.
Who's got Cooper?
I know nothing of you.
Oh, okay, good.
I didn't tell him anything, Mary.
Didn't let anything out. Okay.
Nope. You'd be very proud of me. Did they go to the Y? Does Cooper like water? My God, I think Vincent thinks he's a fish. So did you bring me an envelope? Okay, I'm gonna take it. That's a mighty little one. I'm kidding. That was my shoe.
Don't make me cough. I can't say laugh, but every time I try to laugh, I cough. Getting over the cold.
It's never dull, guys.
I heard in the radio today, they said the norovirus, that hand sanitizer doesn't work on it. It's got it covered in a protein that the hand sanitizer doesn't get through.
Oh, my
That
God.
you're supposed to actually wash your hands because detergent, soap will break it down better.
Have you gotten that this year?
No.
Oh, it's wicked.
I'm trying not to give this to my wife. She's going in next Wednesday to have her knee replaced.
Oh, really?
You have to wear one of those inflatable suits.
Yeah, those big bubble suits. Walk around and
Hi, honey.
bounce off everything.
Does she have a good doctor?
Yeah, well, I hope so. I don't know. His name's Paul.
What's his name?
Paul.
Oh, I've heard he's at Orthopedic Associates.
Yep.
All my doctors are retired.
Well, you're retired?
That's how old I am.
Well, I've been through a couple too. I've got every year I get a new one down here in McWanago.
Oh, do you?
I got a PA. I'm just doing my Medicare.
Oh, yeah.
And she did it, and then she left, and another one came, she did it, left. Now I got a female doctor down there, a new one, so hopefully she'll stick around for a while.
Yeah, they're hard to. I'm gonna
It's
see.
convenient to go right down here in McWanago.
Oh, she's gonna see if Karen is on. She's not on yet. Oh, there she is. I gotta change my name. Karen, can you hear me? I just was asking, Karen's on. I'm going to put my microphone right by my speaker when we zoom her in. Does that sound good, guys?
I put mine on.
Hello?
Hi, Karen. How are you?
Hi, Karen. I'm good. How are you?
I'm just peachy. I'm going to turn my microphone on and see if the guys can hear. Okay, Karen, can you sing the national anthem? Can you hear that? Okay. Okay. You don't have to sing yet, Karen. What we're going to do, Karen, is just When it's 6 o'clock, Jeff's gonna open up the meeting, and then we're gonna do public comments. He does have to read a closed session notice, and then we're gonna go right into the 2020-23 financial audit, and then we'll do public comments. So I just wanted to let you know that, we're not gonna have you, waiting forever because you're expensive. Sound good, Karen?
Sounds great.
Okay, I'm gonna turn off my microphone for just a smidge, and then let's see what time. We got 2 minutes, Karen.
I'll mute mine too until you guys are ready for me.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Karen.
You bet.
I like her name.
Yeah.
You won't forget it.
Oh, Karen, I was gonna say, are you still watching your little grandson?
The baby?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot on the weekends.
Is he walking yet?
No. He stands, and then we clap, and he goes like this and hangs on. But he doesn't walk yet. In his little walker, 400 miles an hour on it. He runs into your feet constantly.
How old is he?
1. But my kids were walking at 1. I know some kids that were walking at 7. My kids didn't walk at 7 months.
Well, the fun part comes is, like, let's say if you have a coffee table, you know how you keep your remotes on there? They find the remotes on the floor.
Yeah.
Like if they get into the kitchen, they know how to open up cupboard doors, everything on the floor.
No, yeah, you put the door on there.
Yeah, Travis has it at his house, but we don't have it at ours. Oh, and he loves it. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
He used chin-ups on the silverware drawer.
2 of my grandchildren are 7. They're twins, and then I got one 12, so.
Oh, wow.
So I'm getting to be old.
You're-
I didn't even have kids till I was 35 and 38, so.
Really?
Yeah.
You were a late bloomer.
That's one way to look at it. I finally found my way in life. So my wife said.
Did your daughter have the twins or your son?
No, my daughter did. She has all the kids.
Wow.
My son doesn't have any. He has about 6 or 7 old European sports cars.
Oh, instead of kids. Well, they probably don't. Oh, it's 6 o'clock.
You ready?
I'm ready. We're broadcasting, so.
Okay. I'd like to call the Village of Vernon Board meeting to order.
Microphone.
Oops. I'd like to call the Village Board meeting to order. Everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call and open meeting law compliance.
President Jeff Millies.
Here.
Trustee Gary Finch.
Here.
Trustee Jay Pecca.
Here.
Trustee Dylan Newman.
Here.
Mr. President, note for the record you do have a quorum of your village board, and also note for the record you're in full compliance with the state of Wisconsin open meetings law.
All right, need to mention would be a possible closed session tonight. Consideration and possible action on a motion to convene into executive session under Wisconsin State Statute 19.85, parentheses 1, sub parentheses E, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specific public business, whether competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session, specifically a proposal from a merit tower, including in the closed session with the members of the village board and administrator clerk. This will require a roll call vote and no decision will be made in closed session. Next, we're going to move on to our audit report via Zoom meeting. You have to read all the...
No,
right.
no, that's all on the agenda.
Good luck on that one.
Yeah.
Karen, are you ready to go?
Yep.
And I just wanted to state to the public, Karen Wolf, our auditor, is in La Crosse, and that's why we're doing, it's a lot cheaper to have our auditor Zoom in instead of paying her to drive all the way here. Although, Karen, we'd love to see your smiling face, but we totally understand. So we'll turn everything over to you, Karen.
Okay, I think everybody has copies of the financial report there on the board.
Yes, they do, Karen.
So I thought I'd just kind of walk through this and kind of highlight some of the areas that I thought we could, I could explain a little bit more And then if there's any questions at the end, anything you guys have questions about, feel free to ask. And even if there's something that comes up while I'm talking, just interrupt me and we can cover it.
Sounds good, Karen, thank you.
Yep, so on page 1 is the actual independent auditor's report. And as like last year's, you guys did have an unqualified opinion. So that is good. That's the kind of opinion you want. That just means that the financial statements are fairly presented. So there's no qualifications or disclosures saying that something was not, as far as we could tell, not fairly presented. So the unqualified opinion again for the 2023 audit. And then the rest of that audit report just kind of talks about the nuts and bolts of the audit, kind of what we do, what we look for. And then if you continue on through the report, the first statement on page 4 is the statement of net position. This is pretty similar to the prior year. There was a decrease in the cash overall, but that also was offset by the increase in your capital assets. The other thing too is the total net position for the governmental activities, so this is all of the government activities combined, was just under $5 million, and that is very similar to prior year. On page 5, then you'll see the statement of activities. Down at the bottom, there's the change in net position. That is kind of like the income or loss that the village had for the year. So for 2023, that was about a $75,000 deficit overall. Prior year in 2022, it was $152,000. So there's a little bit, that did look a little bit better in 23 than it did in 22. And then you'll see that net position year end of $4.9 million that matches that report on page 4. And then on page 6, this is the fund balance sheet. So this is based on your individual funds. So you have the 3 major funds, which is your general fund, your ARPA fund, your debt service fund, and then your project improvement fund. And then you also have non-major funds, which are grouped together in other governmental funds, and that includes your stormwater and your park impact funds. So you'll see there, if we're looking mainly at the general fund, there is a negative fund balance of $313,886. Last year that was a negative $553,000. And this is stemming from last year in 2022. I should be more careful about that since we're in 2025 now. But for 2022, you guys did not utilize any of your project improvement funds for any of your road improvements. So there was quite a deficit in 2022 that got put on the books in the general fund. Whereas in 2023, you guys did transfer about $900,000 out of that project improvement fund to cover some expenses, mainly the road improvements, into the general fund. So you will see when we go on a little bit farther, the general fund actually did have a positive income for 2023. So then page 7 is really just a reconciliation that just shows kind of the things that differ between the governmental accounting and the fund balance accounting, and it kind of just breaks that down here. Nothing I think that is of use to go over. On page 8 then we have the statement of revenues and expenditures for those different funds we just talked about. And just a little note for the general fund, the total revenues for general fund were up about 5.5% in 2023 compared to 22, but your expenditures were down about 0.5%. So that was a really, that was a really good thing to see. Seems like it, it means that the village is operating effectively and efficiently. So then you do see there that there's about $85,000 revenue over expenditures in the general fund for 2023. So that was the good news. You do see that there ARPA funds did show a revenue of $36,000. This is strictly the interest that's accruing on your ARPA funds. So that gets actually booked to that fund. So that was why you see that revenue for ARPA funds. And then you have your debt service fund, which is of course just the payments and interest that you have for the debt that you guys have. And then the project improvement fund. You will see a big transfer out there of about $950,000 that went into the general fund. So that's why you see quite a decrease in that fund balance as of the end of the year. So it was at about 1.7, now you're down to about 880. And then the stormwater fund and the park improvement, stormwater did operate efficiently in 2023. The park improvement, your park impact, you don't have a lot of activity in, but stormwater did see an improvement over 2022. And then on page 9, again, it's a reconciliation that really doesn't have much. I don't think it's worth the time to go over that. The next statement just deals with the fiduciary funds. This is strictly the amount of taxes that you guys are receiving in December. Like so for 23, you receive funds in taxes for 2024. And this just kind of shows how much of this is yours and how much of it you owe to other, like the schools and the county. Same thing with page 11. So these are just things that they require us to do a spreadsheet on and note in the report. It just washes out. It washes itself out every year because you guys keep your revenue and pay back the revenue that you owe to the schools and the county. Then we get on to just the notes to the financial statements. Just a few pages in here that I'll go over. On page 12, there were no new accounting standards that were adopted through in 2023. So there's no new notes, no new accounting changes that we had to make based on any of the governmental standards boards producing a new standard. So everything stayed consistent with prior years. And then everything else on page 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, that just kind of goes through your policies. Nothing has changed from previous years, so that is the same as that we saw in 2022. And then we kind of go, like note 2 talks about cash and investments. No big changes there. On page 21, we do talk about some restricted assets, and these are just assets that you have in the village that are restricted either based on board or policies put in place where they have to be used for certain things. So that's like your debt service. So you have to have certain assets restricted for that, or your pension that you do through WRS. No big changes there. And then your payables, intercompany, those are all standard. You will see in note 7, there is quite a bit of larger amounts there just because you did do quite a bit of, like the project improvement fund did give money, or you guys are going to be transferring money, or maybe you did in 2020 already at the end of 24, to cover some of those expenses in 23. But that just all comes out, it's all within the village. On page 23 then, it's just a breakdown of your capital assets. Again, this is something that does increase annually. I did receive a nice report from Karen regarding prior road work that was done. So what we're going to do is try to take kind of a better look at this for our 24 audit and see if any of these road improvements have been already, like anything you've done maybe 20 or 25 years ago, have now been replaced again by new work. And then we'll just try to get that off the books. So and that'll net itself out between an asset and the depreciation we've booked for that. So we are gonna try to take a little better look at that and see if we can maybe clean that up a little bit for our 2024. And then we can go ahead to page 26, and then quite a few pages after that. This deals strictly with the Wisconsin retirement system, the WRS pension and life insurance plans that you guys have through the state. And these are all required disclosures. So none of this information really it has a lot to do specific to the village. You guys just pay in the percentage every pay period or every month that's required. This is just something that really talks about the whole system as a whole for the state, and there's a lot of actuary numbers and things in there. So if you're ever looking for some really fun reading, that would be those pages. So note 13 talks about your life insurance, which is your OPEB retirement. And then if we go on to page 38, this just kind of talks a little bit about your intermunicipal agreement. So you do have some with the fire department, you have police services that you have agreements with, your municipal court agreement. And then on note 20, it talks about your excess of actual expenditures over budget. So this is going to give you like a little bit of summary in your general fund. So you're looking at your general government, your public safety, public works, leisure activities, conservation and development, and your capital outlay. And it'll show you what your budget was and then what you actually expended. So your budgeted expenses and then your actual. You will see quite a bit of difference between the capital outlay, just because when you guys do budget that, you budget the road improvements to a regular expense account. So you'll see that for public safety and public works, this shows quite an excess, like you had quite a bit of expenditure over budget, or vice versa. But then when you go down to capital outlay, that evens it out. So you can see that your expenditures were over $1 million, but you budgeted $95,000. And that's just based on, it's different because of how you're categorizing that in your budget. So don't be misled by that. And then we go into the supplemental schedules. These just kind of give a little bit more breakdown of your revenues and expenses based on your budget. And you'll see there for just in summary for the general fund, we did see total revenue was about 31,000 under budget, but then expenses were about 116 under budget. So you did see that $85,000 increase in your fund balance for the general fund for 2023. And then you have a couple more schedules following that again relate to that Wisconsin retirement system. So those go all the way through page 50. And then we do have some supplemental information, and all this does is breaks down those two funds that were non-major funds, the impact fee and the stormwater funds. So that just gives a little bit more of a breakdown of those separately. So that is the basic financial system. Are there any, or financial statements, are there any questions on the report?
They're shaking their heads no so far, Karen.
Okay. And then the other thing that does come with the report is we do send a couple letters with this. We have a significant deficiency letter and then a governance letter. And I just wanted to walk through a little bit, a couple of things pertaining to those letters. These are just letters we kind of add to the financial report for the board and the governance, just to kind of highlight some areas that we saw that we wanted to kind of point out to you. There's rooms for improvements, things that we kind of, would like to see tightened up, that kind of thing. So there was a material we witnessed this year, and it was there last year too, and this relates to the internal controls of the financial reporting. A lot of this, I think, might be resolved quickly since there was a change in your clerk position in October. So I do think the board was proactive in trying to diffuse some of these issues. But some of the things that were concerning were the financial reports weren't getting to the board on a timely basis. Cash accounts weren't being reconciled. And there was a significant number of material adjusting journal entries that we had to do this year. We normally have to do quite a few just because of the tax situation, and that's normal for all villages and towns. But this year it seemed like there was more, and a lot of them stemmed, I think, from the change in software packages. So there was a little bit, I think, of a hiccup in some of that system changeover that we kind of caught some errors at the end of the year that we were able to adjust for to correct the financials. And I think moving forward, since you guys have now consistently been on workforce since the beginning of 24, I don't foresee that being an issue. And I also was looking at some of your kind of later board minutes, and it does look like those financial reports, the bank recs have gotten caught up, and the financial reports are coming back through. So that's wonderful. So it's really good to see that those changes are being made. And then the other thing that we just wanted to discuss were there were some issues with payroll tax deposits, and I know this is something that Karen was talking to me about early on. And it's just another thing that, you know, just because that is it's a tricky thing with the IRS, you just want to make sure you're consistent with that and getting those payroll taxes deposited in a timely and correct manner. So those were the kind of issues that we did point out in the letter that came along with the report. Anything else that you guys have any questions on?
I don't think anybody's got any questions. Board members have any questions for Karen? I think we're good, Karen, and what we typically do, just so that you know, Karen, once the audit report is given to the board, we'll post this on the website tomorrow so the public, if they wanted to, they could take the financial statement and go over how you reported to the board if they want to see that, but we never post the financial statement until the board has a chance to look at it.
Yep. Okay.
We're good, gentlemen? Thank you, Karen Wolf.
Thank you, Karen.
All right. Thanks, Karen.
Take care.
Oh, you too. We'll talk soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
We needed a motion to accept the audit report?
As presented by the auditor and today's date.
I'll make the motion. To accept the financial report.
Second that motion.
Motion made by Gary, second by Jay. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Public comments. Are there any public comments? No public comments? Okay. Moving on to miscellaneous matters. We have a resident request to install a street light on County National Avenue and Hillview at the intersection. In the packet, there were several reasons why she felt.
I think she's here.
Did you want to address any of these issues, Lucille?
Oh, yeah, I wanted a street light there.
Can you come up to the microphone, please, so that people can hear you?
I wanted a street light on the corner of National and Hillview. There, it's very, very dark. People jog there, walk there, kids ride their bikes there. It's a deer crossing. The police are there giving people tickets. It's halfway up the hill. The view isn't as good. People drive 45 miles an hour there. It's hard to see that road. we have big trucks coming in and out of that road all the time. And on the other, if you follow the road, it comes out on Oakdale, and there's a street light there, but yet on National we don't have one. And if you look at all the roads going to the bridge, they all have street lights or some type of light there where those sheds are. And the other way too, practically every street has a street light except there. And the lot on the corner, there's one lot, it's like a woods there, so it's, you know, there's no light from a home or anything there. And I know I've called the fire department a lot for my husband, and I know the fire department would like a light there, because they turn on our driveway quite a bit. But yeah, for the safety of everybody, I would like a street light there.
Okay, thank you.
And I took a picture. There's a pole there already. So all you'd have to do is put a light on the pole. So it wouldn't be too hard to do.
Okay.
Mr. President, if you don't mind, I did call the county because the county's usually really good about informing the board if there's an issue, and they have no information of any issue related to your request.
Okay.
So I sent your letter and the two letters that you submitted to the board, and our DPW director's report and the attorney's report. And since the county's never even discussed this, it's premature for this board to even discuss it because it's not our road. So just so you know, Lucille, somebody from Waukesha County, probably one of the engineers, is going to call you and talk to you about it. So I don't want to mislead the board. It doesn't even pay for you to talk about it because the county has no record of it even being a concern. So everything's been turned into them, Lucille, so they're going to contact you and they're going to want to talk to you. And then they meet as a staff and the engineers go out there, so that's how you'll have to handle this. The board can't really do anything at this point, but just so you know, I turned everything into the county.
And
then
they could okay it?
They'll start talking with you, and then they'll do an internal investigation, then they'll communicate with the board. It's not a very fast process, but that's, unfortunately, that is the county's right of way, so we will have to wait till the county does their assessment.
Okay, a man got killed there. I just had moved into that home, and I walked, you know, I was there and I grabbed blankets to go down, but he was dead when I got down there. So it's a dangerous place. So, and you can, you know, ask the police. They can verify what I'm saying.
They have all that information at the county,
yeah,
so.
And deers are laying there all the time. The police have to come to, you know, put them down. So, you know, I can get police reports.
County has all that, just so you know,
Okay.
Lucille. But they are going to contact you, and then they'll do something internal and call the board.
Okay.
Thank you for coming forward and bringing this to our attention.
Okay.
Hopefully we get a response from the county.
How long would I wait for the county to call?
Lucille, when they contact you, contact either President Millies or myself. They'll contact us also.
Within a reasonable amount of time?
Yeah, yes, especially if what you put in your letter, if it's just like some of the issues you put in there, they probably expedite it a little faster than others, but you know, the county is such a huge county, they do get a lot of letters, but they do get their engineering staff involved in any concern, and it is a county road, so like I said, we have to just wait till they do their analysis. And you can call them tomorrow, Lucille. I'll call you tomorrow and give you the number.
Okay.
But you know, contact the Waukesha Public Works, but I filed everything for you today.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. Discuss of the wording for the April 1st, 2025 Village of Vernon referendum question for the increase in the Village of Vernon's levy for the fire department members' salaries and for the remodeling of Fire Station Number 1 located at W233S 7475 Woodland Avenue.
And Mr. President, when we were doing this agenda, we weren't 100% sure how fast we could get everything done. As the board can see, the Department of Revenue did all the calculations as it relates to the clean resolution you have. It has a legal review, so this item you don't even have to worry about because that's been done for the board. So you would just move on to your actual resolution is in final form as it relates to the attorneys and the Department of Revenue. And Mr. President, I didn't know if you wanted to tell the board that we could not do 2 resolutions in 1 year. And the focus is we really need the fire department members there more than we need a building. I mean, we can do some internal things to assist the fire department while they wait, but we can't wait on wages.
No.
Yeah, we could have put them in the one resolution, but then it was failed.
Then
We wouldn't have wages for
Then you
next
lose
year.
your salary again.
And at the same time, you couldn't put the 2 resolutions on because you're doing 2 levy increases within the same year, so that's why they said you can't do that. You gotta just have the one resolution. So the fire department will be pushed off at least until 2027.
Okay.
So then the board would just move on to resolution 2020-2501. And then if the board chooses to adopt this resolution and authorize the village president to sign, we'd get it to the county tomorrow. That would be good for the county because they need as much time as they can get for the ballot.
I don't think we really have a choice unless we want to cut down how many people we keep in the station.
No, I don't.
No.
And the board already did put money in for 24 and 25 out of the ARPA funds because they truly understand the need as it relates to our paramedics, EMTs, and firefighters. We just have to compete with other municipalities and fire companies within Waukesha, Racine, Milwaukee. Everybody's fighting for personnel.
Yep.
I was confused in reading it. This is a continuous
Yes,
each year.
Yes.
It'll be on, okay. I
yes,
saw one example where it just listed the
yeah,
years that would be in force and.
right.
Okay.
To sustain the personnel that the fire chiefs have gone through numerous times, this would sustain that. I know the issue came about what happens if we'd ever get in the McGuanago situation where there's full-time firefighters, and that would require another levy request. But at this point, the chiefs indicated that they felt that this would be able to keep them sustained for hopefully several years.
Okay. Do we pass this then?
Well, we have to make a motion on it.
I'll make a motion to approve this resolution.
Resolution 2025-01-A.
Correct.
I'll second that motion.
Second by trustee Becker. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Indeed, we were being productive just in case we didn't get things done to set another meeting, but you don't need D.
We don't need to do it
Mm-mm.
No, okay.
You've got it done already.
You said it was all done.
Karen was busy this week finding all the examples and trying to figure out how to do it, yeah. Next, Village of Vernon newsletter.
We really need to get one out soon, gentlemen, and if the board doesn't mind, I'd like to get you some of the articles I've started to draft. This is a really important issue, so most of the newsletter will be dedicated to this. Maybe at the staff meeting, you guys can come up with your dates for, and I know you need to talk with the DPW director about spring, when spring, especially if you're gonna do the pickup or not, or what you're gonna do in the time frame. But if the board doesn't mind, I'll present the articles to you as it relates to how important this resolution is to sustain our fire department members and why it's so important.
And that can wait till staff then.
What's that?
That can wait till the staff meeting then?
Oh yeah. But if there's any board members that want to draft an article, if there's articles you feel
Okay.
maybe a little bit more on the Aguanago, Vernon, working together on the recreation. That's going very, very well. Yeah, so I mean, but if the board concurs, our focus of this newsletter should be the importance of this referendum, and I just wanted to make sure the board concurs that it's critical that the people know who they can, you know, we give them the research and then who they can call if they have questions. And
They need to know to get out and vote too, because if they don't vote, they won't know.
right.
Do we have a date where we need to kind of get it sent to the printers by, so it's out in enough time?
Yeah, in the last newsletter, I'm double checking to see what the problem was. It took a while to get that last newsletter out. So I'll check with LPI tomorrow, and then when we meet, you know, on the 30th for staff, I'll have a better idea. But I have a lot of the articles drafted for this. The only thing too is I might, if the board doesn't mind, on the website, supply some public informational clips as it relates. This is not an issue that's prevalent for Vernon, it's all over the country. So there's some really good educational material that we can put on the website that people can watch also.
Okay.
But that would be the focus.
Okay.
Does that sound good with the board?
Sounds good.
So that's all it's on there for, Mr. President, is just to make the board aware and see if they concur and go from there. Does that sound good?
Sounds good. Moving on, correspondence, announcements, and report. Trustee Pecca, do you have anything you'd like to?
Well, I just hope they get those wildfires out in California contained. And I'd like to say with these previous 2 days, they did a great job at solving. I've seen them all. And I'll tell you what, if you're willing to work with me, I'm willing to work with you, all of you. I'm very willing to help you, like, at least get a drop-off, you know, branch drop-off site up, you know, like, let the people, if you can, like, let the people come in on Saturdays from, like, let's say 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock, up until, what is it, Brett, the first, whatever, the date, final date, Brett rests that shipper. And my goal is that if people have the transportation, if they can, bring it to the hall, I know we'd be saving some money. And I know, Mr. Jeff, I know you like saving money, and I'd be willing to help you out.
All right, we'll talk about brush pickup at the next meeting, or staff meeting. Trustee Finch?
I don't have anything tonight.
Trustee Newman? Only thing I was asked why we don't comment on Facebook, because there's a lot of inaccurate stuff that gets posted on there and we're not responding. Basically, the reason for that is based on what our attorney has told us. Anything we report on, or we have to actually take a screenshot of that and save all that in case there's ever an open records request. We have to be able to prove what we said with the content that's with that page. So that's kind of why we don't respond to anything on Facebook. It's just more of a liability issue and record keeping issue. That is all I'd like to mention. Karen, you have an administrator?
Right, I just wanted to remind the public that for the 2 elections that we have, unfortunately, we're going to have a primary because of the DPI race statewide, so there is a primary in February for that. And then one of our school districts, Washington, Waterford High School, has a school referendum on the February ballot. But for the Village of Vernon, we wouldn't need a primary because on the village president, President Jeff Millies is running, and Kenneth Andrew is also running for village president. Trustee Finch is unopposed, so he's going to have a tough race. And then trustee number 4, Mary Colbert and Jim Hirth are running for trustee number 4. And I just wanted to say, I know Dylan's one of our youngest trustees that's ever served, and it's nice to see the 2 people that are running for trustee number 4 are young people also. And I hope the public doesn't continue to crucify them, because it's so nice to see young people. And when other communities see that we have younger people running, nothing against old people, I'm old, but it's nice to see, it's so nice to see young people involved in the village, and like I said, we are gonna have a primary, it's mainly for the state and the Waterford School District, so absentee ballots are gonna go out on, the 28th of January, so if you want an absentee ballot, just please email our office. If you voted absentee, if you just send me an email, that's all I need for my record, is something from the persons that want it. And just a reminder, don't go to Big Bend Elementary. At next board meeting, Mr. President, if you don't mind, unfortunately, we received Gary Wilde's resignation as the weed commissioner for the village of Vernon. I wanted to publicly thank Gary for all the work he's done over the years, and I totally understand with what he's dealing with. It's very difficult to do that position, but we'll talk about that more at a later meeting. And then very happy to report that the treasurer does have the December 2024 bank books completely, all the bank books are completely done. So in your packet is the 2020-24 December financial, but I just wanted to tell the board your department heads just got this report also, so I'm asking them to go through that in detail. So if there's issues, we can correct that internally without going through our auditor. I just wanted to state to the board also that they did do the bid opening for the center bridge. Nothing's going to happen before May. I can guarantee you there's not anything that's going to happen. And the state works with the federal government. They picked the qualified vendor. All three of the businesses that did bid on it, we had a bid of 1.7 million, 1.8 million, and 2 million. So they're in the process now of evaluating those bids, and they'll keep us posted on who they choose. But I was really happy to see the $1.7 million.
Yeah.
Really happy about, because that's a big project. So, and I know Andy's working on the Center Drive issue as it relates to the road that we want to approve also. So that's all I have for now, Mr. President.
Thank you. Is there a sheriff's report in our packet?
No, but I wanted to tell the board that Deputy Joseph Haas, who is our new Vernon police officer, is going to come and meet with the board, the first meeting in March, because of conflicts with his schedule. He's been here several times, and like I said, as we did with Deputy Riley, we provide him with a key and a code to get into the village and work here if he needs to sit down and work, because at the fire station, the closet that they have is so tiny and it smells, and so I just wanted to let the board know that if you see a sheriff officer, if you see our car, that's Deputy Joseph Haas. Nice boy. He's a young man. He's young also. But that's it.
Okay. Moving on to finances. Accounts payable for January 16th.
Mr. President, if you wouldn't mind if we could do the batch number 2020-25-01-16A, it's the tax refunds for $11,286. That's a combination of all the tax refunds that you have in your packet.
How much is it?
$11,286. If you add both those check registers she had, it looked like on one she had to void it, and then she did it in a separate one. So if you combine it, it's $11,286.
Even?
Yes.
That's what I was wondering about too.
Yeah, $11,286.
Oh,
You need a motion?
Yes.
200.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the tax refunds in the amount of $11,286.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
And Mr. President, the settlement check was done in batches too. There was an ACH transaction that was done for Waukesha County. And so if you add her two check registers, it's $4,555,949.95. So that's 4,555,959.95 of your tax settlement. And that's really low. Normally it's like 7 million. So we'll have more money to pay for.
So it's $4 million.
4,555,959.95.
On the McQuantico School District was a big check.
Yeah, but it's only 3 million. One year we wrote it was 8 million.
Yeah.
But that's good, we'll keep it more in January for us.
I see one of their referendums is going away too, in a year or so. They're not
Yes.
doing stuff, so.
Yeah, McGuanago is really good about that.
All right, is there a motion to approve those checks in the amount of, whatever that was?
455-95995.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by trustee Newman, is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Second by trustee Pecca, any discussion? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
And then the last AP is batch number 2020-25-0116C is your regular accounts payable, and you can see she had a tremendous amount of trouble with that check register. So there's a check register for $339,104.13, $13,698.08, $49,261, and then there's one check for $117.74. That's a Centurion check. So your total accounts payable is $402,180.95.
That's the total.
That's the total. 402,180.95 for accounts payable.
I'll make a motion to approve the accounts payable, $402,000.
Yes, 180.
$180.95.
Perfect.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Second by trustee Pecca. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
And Mr. President, it's only one manual check in the amount of $266.66. That was at Amazon. We wanted to get that paid so we didn't incur any late fees. So that's your only manual check. So we would need a motion to approve that manual check in the amount of $266.66.
I'll make a motion to approve the manual check for $266.66.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion. Dylan, you can do it.
All right, second by trustee Newman. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
I'll take care of them, doesn't it?
You got a lot of money this time, guys.
Yeah.
A lot coming in, a lot going out.
Yeah, I know.
All right, moving on to village board minutes, January 2nd.
The only thing, Mr. President and board members, if you wouldn't mind, next to public comments, I wanted to just put a phrase there that the entire public comments can be heard on YouTube, because some of the, I don't want people to think that this is a public hearing where we record everything verbatim. So if they want to actually hear the entire public comment, these are just paraphrased.
Sure.
So if the board members wouldn't mind, next to public comments, I'd like to put on all the minutes, and I will from now on, just the full public comments can be heard on YouTube.
Okay.
Probably a good idea.
You need to make a motion to that?
I was going to add that,
Just add it.
Yeah.
Okay.
but you approved a lot of minutes.
Yeah.
We're finally caught up. So who's going to do,
I was wondering if we ever. Good deal.
need a motion for the January 2nd minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the January 2nd, 2025 village board minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by trustee Newman. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
And Mr. President, board members, I just wanted to tell the board, what we're trying to do now is go through all the old minutes that haven't been touched. We just want to verify when they were approved, make them approved. That'll all go up on the website, but it's going to take some work to go back to 2020, 22. Yeah. So we're working on it, but we're getting there.
All right, our next meeting, we have one July 23rd. It's a Zoom meeting with the Merit Tower,
January,
January 23rd.
not July.
Did I say July?
Yeah, you said July. You're thinking Florida again, Jeff. Get out of Florida.
I'm tired of the cold weather. Then on February 5th and 19th, we'll have our village board meetings at 6 p.m. And February 12th, we'll have a village board and plan commission meeting at 6 p.m.
When's our staff meeting again?
The 30th,
30th?
January 30th at 6 o'clock.
At 6 p.m.?
Yes.
Thank you. No worries.
And then all elections will be held at Vernon Village Hall, and taxes are being collected at Citizens Bank Vernon office until January 31st. Vernon branch is located on Highway 164 next to Quick Trip. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Oh, you got a closed session.
Oh, that's right. Is there a I'm always up to forget about that stuff, yeah. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Roll call vote.
President Millies,
Aye.
Trustee Pecca,
Aye.
Trustee Finch,
Aye.
Trustee Newman.
Aye.
Mr. President, note for the record that your village board has voted to go into closed session unanimously. Okay, so you just have to stop this here. Stop.
Yeah, you go.